When my 8-month-old son passed away from pneumonia, my parents refused to attend his funeral because they had already committed to hosting my sister's 30th birthday celebration instead. They even posted Instagram stories from the celebration during the burial service. I never thought I would be writing this, but I need to get this off my chest. My 8-month-old son died last week from complications related to pneumonia, and my parents decided to attend my sister's 30th birthday party instead of his funeral. I'm David, 34M, and I work as a high school math teacher. My wife Sarah, 31F, is a dental hygienist. We have been married for 4 years and bought our first house 2 years ago. We live about an hour away from my parents, Robert, 64M, and Linda, 62F, who are both retired. My sister Katie, 30F, is a marketing manager who lives in the same city as our parents. Growing up, Katie was always the center of attention. When she made the cheerleading squad in high school, my parents threw her a surprise party with all her friends. When I got accepted into college with a partial scholarship, my dad just patted my shoulder and said it was expected. Katie's college graduation was celebrated with a weekend trip to the coast. My graduation happened during the same weekend as Katie's friend's wedding, so my parents attended the wedding instead. This pattern continued into our adult years. When Katie bought her first car, my parents helped with the down payment. When Sarah and I were saving for our house, we asked for similar help but were told they had already spent their savings on Katie's car. When Katie got her first promotion, my parents organized a family dinner at an expensive restaurant. When I got tenure at my school, they sent a congratulations text. The difference became more obvious when Sarah got pregnant. My parents' reaction was lukewarm at best. My dad said it was good news, and my mom immediately started talking about how Katie might want kids someday too. Sarah's parents, on the other hand, were over the moon. They started buying baby clothes immediately and visited us every weekend to help prepare the nursery. When our son Marcus was born, the contrast was even starker. Sarah's parents were at the hospital within an hour. My parents showed up the next day for about 30 minutes before leaving for their book club meeting. Over the next 8 months, Sarah's parents visited twice a week, bringing groceries and helping with household chores. My parents visited maybe 6 times total, usually when it was convenient for them. I kept sending them photos of Marcus reaching his milestones. His first smile, sitting up, crawling, his first tooth. My mom would respond with a thumbs up emoji, and my dad rarely acknowledged them at all. Meanwhile, every photo Katie posted on social media got lengthy comments from both parents about how beautiful or funny it was. 3 months ago, Katie announced she was planning a big 30th birthday party. She wanted a weekend celebration with all her friends at a rented venue. My parents immediately started helping with the planning and kept talking about how special this milestone birthday was going to be. Around the same time, Sarah and I were planning Marcus's baptism. We set the date for the same weekend as Katie's party, not knowing about the conflict. When I told my parents about the baptism date, my mom immediately mentioned Katie's party. I suggested they could attend the baptism in the morning and the party in the evening since they were in the same city. My dad said they couldn't risk missing any part of Katie's celebration since they were helping to host it. 2 weeks ago, Marcus developed what seemed like a regular cold. Sarah and I weren't too worried since babies get sick often. But his condition worsened over the weekend. By Monday, he was having trouble breathing, and we rushed him to the hospital. The doctors said he had developed pneumonia, which had progressed rapidly. We spent 3 days in the hospital. Sarah barely left Marcus's side, and I slept in the chair next to his bed. Sarah's parents took turns staying with us, bringing us food and clean clothes. I called my parents on the first day to let them know what was happening. My mom said they would try to visit soon but never showed up. On Wednesday evening, Marcus's condition deteriorated rapidly. Despite the doctor's best efforts, he passed away early Thursday morning. The next few hours were a blur of paperwork, phone calls, and arrangements. Sarah was barely functioning, so I handled most of the logistics with help from her parents. I called my parents Thursday afternoon to tell them Marcus had died. My mom's response was brief. She said she was sorry for our loss and asked about funeral arrangements. I told her we were planning the service for Saturday morning at our church. There was a pause, and then she said Saturday was Katie's birthday party. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked if she was suggesting they couldn't attend their grandson's funeral because of a birthday party. My mom said they understood this was difficult, but they had already committed to hosting Katie's party. My dad got on the phone and said they had put deposits down for the venue and couldn't cancel on such short notice. I hung up without saying another word. Sarah was in the bedroom, staring at the wall. Her parents were making calls to arrange flowers and coordinate with the funeral home. I sat in Marcus's empty nursery for hours, looking at his crib and his toys. Friday evening, I called my parents again, thinking maybe they had reconsidered. My mom answered and immediately started talking about how stressed they were about the party preparations. She said they felt terrible about missing the funeral but hoped we understood that canceling the party would disappoint so many people. She mentioned that Katie had been looking forward to this celebration for months. The funeral was on Saturday morning. Sarah's entire family was there, along with our friends, my colleagues from school, and even some of Sarah's patients who had heard about Marcus. The church was full of people who wanted to support us during this time. My parents' absence was obvious to everyone, especially since they were the only grandparents not there. During the service, I kept checking my phone, hoping for a message from my parents. Instead, I saw Katie's Instagram stories from her party. There were photos of my parents helping to set up decorations, smiling and laughing with the guests. The timestamp showed they were posted during the exact time of Marcus's funeral. After the burial, several people asked where my parents were. I made up excuses about them being sick, but I could tell people didn't believe me. Sarah's aunt asked directly if there had been a family fight. I just shook my head and changed the subject. The next week, my parents didn't call or visit. Sarah and I were barely managing to function. She had taken leave from work, and I was using my bereavement days. Sarah's parents were checking on us daily, bringing meals and helping with thank you notes for the flowers and donations people had sent. On the following Friday, exactly 1 week after the funeral, my mom called. She didn't ask how we were doing or mention Marcus. Instead, she wanted to invite us to Sunday dinner so Katie could show us photos from her party. She said it would be good for us to get out of the house and be around family. I told her we weren't interested in seeing party photos. She said I was being unreasonable and that life had to go on. She mentioned that Katie had received so many wonderful gifts and that the party had been a huge success. Then she asked if we could bring a dessert to dinner since Sarah's baking always impressed everyone. I hung up again. Sarah asked who had called, and when I told her, she just nodded and went back to folding Marcus's clothes to donate. Sunday dinner was the next day. Against my better judgment, I decided we should go. Maybe seeing my parents would help somehow, or maybe they would finally acknowledge what they had done. Sarah didn't want to go, but I convinced her that we needed to face them eventually. We arrived at my parents' house at the usual time. Katie was already there, along with her boyfriend Derek, 28M. The dining room table was set with my mom's good china, and there was a centerpiece of flowers that looked like leftovers from the party. Katie had a photo album spread out on the coffee table. Nobody mentioned Marcus or the funeral. The conversation was entirely about Katie's party. My parents went through every detail of the decorations, the food, the music, and the gifts. Katie showed us dozens of photos on her phone, describing each one in detail. My mom kept saying how proud she was of how the party had turned out. I waited for someone to ask how we were doing or to mention that they were sorry for missing the funeral. Nothing. After about an hour of party talk, I finally spoke up. I asked if they had enjoyed the party while we were burying their grandson. The room went silent. My dad said I was being dramatic and that bringing up unpleasant topics wasn't appropriate during a family meal. Katie said I was trying to make everyone uncomfortable and that she had a right to celebrate her birthday. My mom said they had already explained their position and that I needed to understand their commitment to Katie. I asked if they had told Katie's party guests where they were supposed to be that day. My mom admitted they had told people they couldn't attend the funeral because my dad wasn't feeling well. She said they couldn't exactly tell everyone they were choosing a party over their grandson's funeral. That's when I realized they knew exactly what they had done. They understood it was wrong, which is why they lied about it. They just didn't care enough about Marcus or us to make a different choice. Sarah and I left immediately. We haven't spoken to my parents since then. It's been 2 weeks now, and they haven't called or texted. Katie sent me a message saying I ruined her birthday celebration and that I owe her an apology. I keep thinking about Marcus and how my parents barely knew him. They missed most of his short life, and now they've missed his funeral too. Sarah's parents have been our only family support through this nightmare. They've been here every day, helping us navigate our grief and take care of practical matters. I don't know if I can ever forgive my parents for this. Missing your grandson's funeral for a birthday party seems unforgivable. But I also don't know how to move forward with this anger. Sarah thinks we should cut contact completely, but part of me wonders if I should try to fix this somehow. Has anyone else dealt with family members who missed important events for trivial reasons? How do you handle parents who consistently prioritize one child over another? I'm lost and don't know what to do next. Update 1: I wasn't planning to post an update, but several things have happened since my original post, and I need to process them somewhere. First, thank you to everyone who responded to my original post. Reading your comments helped me realize that what my parents did wasn't just hurtful, it was completely unacceptable. Some of you shared similar experiences with favoritism in your families, and it helped me understand that this pattern wasn't something I had imagined. About a week after I posted originally, my Aunt Patricia, 58F, called me. She's my mom's sister and lives in another state. She said she had been trying to reach my parents to offer condolences about Marcus but kept getting vague responses. When she finally spoke to my mom, she was told that the funeral had been delayed due to complications with the funeral home. I told Patricia the truth about what happened. She was quiet for a long time, then said she needed to call me back. When she did, she was furious. She had called my mom again and confronted her about the lie. My mom eventually admitted they had chosen to attend Katie's party instead of the funeral. Patricia told me she had immediately called other family members, including my Uncle James, my dad's brother, and several cousins. She said she wanted them to know the truth because my parents had been telling different versions of the story to different people. Some had been told my dad was sick, others were told the funeral was postponed, and a few were told that Sarah and I had requested a private ceremony. The family reaction was swift and severe. My Uncle James called my dad and told him he was ashamed of his behavior. My cousin Rebecca, who had always been close to my mom, left a voicemail saying she was disappointed and wouldn't be attending family gatherings until my parents apologized to us. Even my grandmother, who is 89 and usually stays out of family conflicts, called my mom to express her disapproval. This is where it gets complicated. 2 weeks after my original post, my mom called me. She was crying, which was unusual because she rarely shows emotion. She said the extended family was treating her and my dad like outcasts, and she didn't understand why everyone was making such a big deal about their choice. She said they had tried to do right by Katie, who had been planning her 30th birthday party for months. She mentioned that they had already paid for the venue and that canceling would have wasted money. She also said that funerals are sad occasions, and they thought it would be better to focus on celebrating life instead of dwelling on death. I listened to her entire explanation without interrupting. When she finished, I asked if she understood that Marcus was her grandson. She said of course she knew that, but that he was just a baby who wouldn't have known they were there anyway. She said babies don't have the same relationships with grandparents that older children do. That conversation ended with me hanging up again. Sarah, who had been listening, just shook her head and went back to organizing Marcus's belongings. We had been slowly packing up his nursery, and the process was taking weeks because Sarah could only handle small amounts at a time. 3 days later, Katie called me. She had never called me directly before, we usually only talked during family gatherings. She said she was tired of the family drama and wanted to work things out. She suggested that we all meet for coffee to discuss the situation like adults. I asked her what she thought needed to be discussed. She said she understood that Sarah and I were grieving, but that we were being unfair to our parents. She said they had made a commitment to her party, and that honoring commitments was important. She also said that Marcus's death was tragic, but that it shouldn't be used to punish people who were trying to live their lives. Katie went on to say that she had been looking forward to her 30th birthday for a long time, and that our parents had been essential to making it special. She said that if they had canceled at the last minute, it would have ruined everything she had planned. She asked me to consider how selfish it was to expect them to abandon her celebration. I asked Katie if she thought her birthday party was more important than her nephew's funeral. She said that wasn't a fair question because they were two completely different types of events. She said that funerals are about closure for the living, and that our parents could have their own private moment of remembrance for Marcus without attending the formal service. This conversation lasted about 40 minutes, and by the end, I realized that Katie genuinely believed she had done nothing wrong. She saw the situation as a scheduling conflict that had been resolved in the most practical way possible. She couldn't understand why anyone would expect her to cancel her party or why our parents should have chosen differently. The most shocking part of the conversation was when Katie said she thought Sarah and I were being overdramatic about Marcus's death. She said that babies die sometimes, and that while it was sad, it wasn't anyone's fault. She said we should focus on healing and moving forward instead of creating family conflict. I ended that call by telling Katie that I didn't want to hear from her again. She texted me later that day saying she was disappointed in my attitude and that she hoped I would come to my senses eventually. Meanwhile, Sarah's parents have continued to be our primary support system. Her mom comes over twice a week to help with housework and meal preparation. Her dad has been handling some of the insurance paperwork and legal matters related to Marcus's death. They never make us feel like we're being dramatic or that we should get over our grief faster. The contrast between our families has become even more obvious. Sarah's parents ask about Marcus, share memories of him, and encourage us to talk about our feelings. My parents, in the few conversations we've had, seem to want to pretend he never existed. They've never asked about our grief or offered any practical support. Yesterday, my mom sent me a text message with a photo of a sympathy card they had bought for us. The message said they had been meaning to send it but hadn't found the right time. The card was one of those generic ones from the grocery store, and the photo showed it was still sealed in its plastic wrapper. She said they thought it might be better to give it to us in person when we were ready to talk. I showed the text to Sarah, and she actually laughed for the first time in weeks. Not because anything was funny, but because the absurdity of the situation had finally hit her. She said she couldn't believe they were treating a sympathy card like some kind of peace offering that required perfect timing. We've made the decision to not respond to any more contact from my parents or Katie. Sarah's parents have been helping us look into grief counseling, not because we think we need fixing, but because we want to process this loss in a healthy way. They've also been researching legal options for some of the medical bills and insurance issues we're dealing with. I keep thinking about what my life would have been like if I had been born into Sarah's family instead of mine. Her parents have shown me what real family support looks like during a crisis. They've never made our grief about them, never asked us to consider their feelings, and never suggested that we should prioritize other people's celebrations over our own healing. The extended family fallout continues. My cousin Rebecca told me that my parents have been complaining to anyone who will listen about how unfairly they're being treated. They've been saying that people don't understand the full situation and that we're manipulating family members against them. Patricia called me again yesterday to tell me that my parents had approached her about mediating a family meeting. She said she told them she wasn't interested in helping them unless they were prepared to offer a genuine apology and change their behavior. She said they seemed confused about what they would need to apologize for. I don't know what happens next. Sarah and I are taking things one day at a time. We're not ready to make any permanent decisions about my family, but we're also not ready to pretend that what happened was acceptable. For now, we're focusing on each other and on honoring Marcus's memory in ways that feel meaningful to us. The support from Reddit has been overwhelming. Thank you to everyone who took the time to respond and share your own experiences. It's helped me realize that we're not alone in dealing with toxic family dynamics, and that choosing our own well-being over family harmony is sometimes the right choice. Update 2: I need to share what happened over the past few weeks because the situation has gotten even more complicated than I expected. About 2 weeks after my last update, I received a call from my workplace. My principal wanted to let me know that my mom had contacted the school asking about my mental health and whether I was fit to return to work. She had told the office staff that I was having a breakdown following a family tragedy and that she was concerned about my ability to handle my responsibilities. My principal assured me that she had handled the call professionally and that my job was secure. She said my mom had asked several inappropriate questions about my sick leave usage and whether the school provided mental health resources. The principal told her that employee information was confidential and that she should contact me directly if she had concerns. I was mortified. Not only had my mom overstepped by calling my workplace, but she had also implied that I was mentally unstable. I later learned that she had made similar calls to Sarah's dental office. Sarah's boss was less diplomatic and told my mom that her call was inappropriate and that she should focus on supporting her son and daughter-in-law instead of interfering with their employment. This prompted me to do something I had been avoiding. I called my mom back. I told her that contacting our workplaces was completely unacceptable and that she needed to stop immediately. She said she was worried about us and that we hadn't been answering her calls, so she wanted to make sure we were getting the help we needed. I asked her what kind of help she thought we needed. She said she was concerned that we were making poor decisions while grieving and that we might do something to hurt our careers or our future. She said she had been talking to Katie about the situation, and they both agreed that we were handling Marcus's death in an unhealthy way. She went on to say that she understood we were sad about losing Marcus, but that we were letting our grief control our lives. She said that successful people learn to compartmentalize their emotions and continue functioning normally even during difficult times. She gave examples of other family members who had experienced losses but hadn't let it affect their relationships or their work. I asked her if she considered missing her grandson's funeral to be an example of healthy compartmentalization. She said that was different because they had made a commitment to Katie, and that honoring commitments was a sign of good character. She said that while Marcus's death was tragic, it didn't change the fact that other people's lives and celebrations were still important. This conversation lasted over an hour, and by the end, I realized that my mom genuinely believed she had made the right choice. She saw their decision to attend Katie's party as responsible and mature, while she viewed our reaction as immature and selfish. She couldn't understand why we expected them to cancel their plans for what she called a sad event that wouldn't bring Marcus back. 2 days later, Katie showed up at our house uninvited. Sarah answered the door because I was at work, and Katie pushed past her into the living room. She had brought a gift bag with items from her birthday party, leftover decorations, a piece of cake, and some photos from the celebration. Katie told Sarah that she thought we might want to see how beautiful the party had been and that it might help us understand why our parents had made their choice. She said the venue was decorated perfectly, the food was amazing, and everyone had a wonderful time. She showed Sarah photos of our parents dancing, laughing, and giving speeches about how proud they were of her. Sarah called me at work, and I came home immediately. By the time I arrived, Katie was sitting on our couch going through her phone, showing Sarah more photos and videos from the party. She was describing each moment in detail, explaining how much work had gone into planning each element. I asked Katie to leave. She said she wasn't finished explaining why the party had been so important. She said she had invited over 50 people, many of whom had traveled from out of town specifically for her celebration. She said that canceling would have disappointed everyone and wasted thousands of dollars. Katie then said something that I'll never forget. She said that Marcus was just a baby who had barely lived, while her 30th birthday was a once-in-a-lifetime milestone that deserved to be celebrated properly. She said that we could have other babies, but she would never turn 30 again. Sarah, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke up. She asked Katie if she understood that Marcus was a person, not just a baby. Katie said of course she understood that, but that babies don't have personalities or relationships the way older children do. She said that Marcus wouldn't have known the difference if his grandparents were at his funeral or not. I told Katie to get out of our house and never come back. She said I was being ridiculous and that she was trying to help us understand the situation from a different perspective. She said that our parents had made a difficult choice, and that we should appreciate the sacrifice they had made by missing the funeral to support her instead. Katie left the gift bag on our coffee table and said she hoped we would look through it when we were ready to be more reasonable. After she left, Sarah and I sat in silence for a long time. Then Sarah picked up the gift bag and threw it directly into the trash without opening it. That evening, I called Patricia to tell her what had happened. She was shocked by Katie's behavior and said she was going to call my mom immediately. Patricia said that Katie's visit was cruel and that my parents needed to control their daughter's actions if they had any hope of repairing their relationship with us. The next day, my mom called me. She was angry, not at Katie, but at me for upsetting Katie with my reaction to her visit. She said Katie had been trying to be helpful and that I had been rude and unreasonable. She said Katie was now worried that I hated her and that the family was being torn apart over a misunderstanding. I asked my mom what she thought Katie had been trying to accomplish by bringing party decorations to our house. She said Katie was trying to show us that the party had been beautiful and important, and that we should be happy for her achievement. She said that sharing joy was supposed to help people heal from sadness. My mom then said something that made me realize how deep this problem went. She said that she and my dad had always tried to treat Katie and me equally, but that we had different needs and personalities. She said Katie needed more support and attention because she was more social and ambitious, while I was more independent and didn't require as much validation. She said that throughout our childhood, they had given each of us what we needed most. Katie needed help with social connections and celebrating her achievements, while I needed to learn self-reliance and how to handle disappointment. She said this approach had made us both successful in our own ways. I asked her if she thought watching your parents celebrate your sister's birthday party during your son's funeral was a lesson in handling disappointment. She said that wasn't how she would describe the situation, but that learning to accept difficult circumstances was an important life skill. This conversation ended with my mom saying that she hoped I would eventually understand that family relationships require compromise and forgiveness. She said that holding grudges would only hurt me in the long run, and that Marcus would want us to maintain family unity instead of creating division. Sarah and I have decided to change our phone numbers. We're also considering moving to a different city where Sarah has been offered a position at a larger dental practice. We want to start fresh somewhere that doesn't have constant reminders of this situation. We've been working with a grief counselor who specializes in family trauma. Not because we think we need to be fixed, but because we want to process this experience in a healthy way. The counselor has helped us understand that we're dealing with two separate losses, Marcus's death and the realization that my family is fundamentally different from what we thought it was. Sarah's parents continue to be our primary support system. They've never tried to convince us to reconcile with my family or suggested that we should forgive and forget. They've simply been present for us during the most difficult period of our lives. The extended family situation has stabilized somewhat. Most of my relatives have made their positions clear, and my parents have been largely excluded from recent family gatherings. Patricia told me that my grandmother has been particularly disappointed in my parents' behavior and has stopped taking their calls. I don't know what the future holds for our relationship with my parents and Katie. Right now, we're focused on healing and building a life that honors Marcus's memory while protecting our own well-being. We're not ready to make any permanent decisions, but we're also not ready to pretend that what happened was acceptable. The support from this community has been incredible. Thank you to everyone who has shared their experiences and offered encouragement. It's helped us realize that we're not alone in dealing with toxic family dynamics, and that choosing our own mental health over family harmony is sometimes the right choice. Update 3: This will be my final update because Sarah and I have reached a point where we need to focus on moving forward rather than looking back. We did end up moving to a different city. Sarah accepted the position at the dental practice, and I found a teaching job at a high school that's known for its supportive work environment. The move happened about 6 weeks ago, and we're slowly settling into our new life. Before we moved, my parents made one final attempt to contact us. They drove to our old house and waited in the driveway for 3 hours until I came home from work. When I saw their car, I almost drove away, but I decided to face them one more time. My dad did most of the talking. He said they had been thinking about the situation for months and had come to apologize. He said they realized they had made the wrong choice by attending Katie's party instead of Marcus's funeral. He said they were sorry for hurting us and wanted to find a way to repair our relationship. I listened to his entire speech, which lasted about 10 minutes. When he finished, I asked if he understood why their choice had been hurtful. He said he understood that we had wanted them there for support during a difficult time. I asked if he understood that Marcus was their grandson and that his funeral was important. He said of course he understood that. Then I asked the question that had been bothering me for months: if they had to make the same choice again, what would they do differently? My dad was quiet for a long time. Then he said he would try to find a way to attend both events, maybe by leaving the party early or arriving at the funeral late. That answer told me everything I needed to know. Even after months of family conflict and extended family disapproval, my dad still couldn't say that he would choose his grandson's funeral over his daughter's birthday party. He was still looking for a compromise that would allow him to avoid making a difficult choice. My mom stayed quiet during most of this conversation, but when my dad finished, she said she hoped we could put this situation behind us and focus on being a family again. She said that holding on to anger wasn't healthy and that Marcus would want us to forgive and move forward. I told them that I appreciated their visit, but that I didn't think we could have a meaningful relationship moving forward. I said that our fundamental values were too different and that I needed to protect my own well-being. I wished them well and asked them to respect our decision to maintain distance. My mom started crying and said she didn't understand why we were choosing to punish them forever for one mistake. She said they had tried to apologize and that they deserved forgiveness. She said that family should be more important than holding grudges. I told her that this wasn't about punishment or grudges. It was about recognizing that we had different priorities and different ideas about what family means. I said that I needed to surround myself with people who would support me during my worst moments, not people who would prioritize social commitments over family crises. They left after about an hour. I haven't heard from them since, and I don't expect to. Katie sent me a text message about a week later saying that our parents were heartbroken and that I was being cruel by refusing to reconcile. I didn't respond. The move has been good for us. Our new city is about 4 hours away from both my parents and Sarah's parents. Sarah's parents have already visited twice, and they're planning to spend Christmas with us in our new home. They've been incredibly supportive of our decision to relocate and start fresh. We found a new grief counselor who has been helpful in processing not just Marcus's death, but also the end of my relationship with my family of origin. She's helped us understand that choosing to distance ourselves from toxic relationships is a form of self-care, not selfishness. We've also started volunteering at a local organization that supports families who have experienced infant loss. It's been meaningful to help other people navigate the early stages of grief, and it's given us a sense of purpose during our own healing process. Sarah and I have started talking about the possibility of having another child someday. Not as a replacement for Marcus, but as an expansion of our family. We're not ready to make that decision yet, but we're no longer avoiding the conversation. We've created a small memorial garden in our backyard for Marcus. Sarah's parents helped us plant it, and it's become a peaceful place where we can sit and remember him. We've decided that this is where we'll celebrate his birthday each year and mark other important milestones. The most important thing I've learned from this experience is that family isn't automatically defined by blood relationships. Real family consists of people who show up for you during your worst moments, who prioritize your well-being over their own convenience, and who support you even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. Sarah's parents have been more like real parents to me during this crisis than my own parents ever were. They've shown me what unconditional love and support look like, and they've helped me understand that I deserve better than what I grew up with. I don't regret the decision to distance myself from my parents and Katie. It was necessary for our mental health and our ability to heal from Marcus's death. I do sometimes wonder if there was a different way to handle the situation, but I can't imagine any scenario where their behavior would have been acceptable. To anyone dealing with similar family dynamics, I want you to know that you're not obligated to maintain relationships with people who consistently prioritize their own comfort over your well-being. It's okay to choose your own mental health over family harmony. It's okay to set boundaries that protect you from people who claim to love you but don't act like it. Thank you to everyone who followed this story and offered support. Your responses helped me realize that I wasn't overreacting and that my expectations for family support were reasonable. This community gave me the validation I needed to trust my own judgment and make difficult decisions about my relationships. Sarah and I are building a new life that honors Marcus's memory while protecting our own well-being. We're surrounded by people who truly care about us, and we're learning to heal from both our grief and our family trauma. It's not the life we planned, but it's authentic and peaceful in ways our old life never was. I won't be updating again because we're focused on moving forward rather than looking back. Thank you for being part of our journey toward healing. Now let's move to the next story. Story 2. I caught my GF lying about visiting her friend from a dating app. She begged for forgiveness but then spread lies about me. Months later, the truth finally came out. I, 28M, need advice about my girlfriend Emma, 26F, and her friend from a dating app. I've always been a bit of a late bloomer when it comes to relationships. Growing up, I was the shy, awkward kid who spent more time with books than people. It wasn't until college that I really started to come out of my shell. Even then, I only had a couple of short-lived relationships that never got too serious. After graduation, I threw myself into my career as a software developer. I was doing well professionally, but my personal life was pretty lacking. My friends kept trying to set me up, but nothing ever clicked. I was starting to wonder if maybe I just wasn't cut out for relationships. Then about a year ago, everything changed when I met Emma. It was at a housewarming party for my buddy Steve. I almost didn't go. Large gatherings still make me a bit anxious, but Steve practically begged me to be there. I'm glad he did, because that's where I first laid eyes on Emma. She was Steve's coworker, and from the moment I saw her, I was captivated. Emma had this infectious energy about her. She lit up the room with her laugh and seemed to effortlessly work the crowd. I watched from across the room, too nervous to approach her. Steve, being the wingman he is, noticed me staring and decided to introduce us. To my surprise, Emma and I hit it off immediately. We spent hours talking that night, discovering we had so much in common. We both loved true crime podcasts, had a weird obsession with obscure 80s movies, and shared the same dry sense of humor. By the end of the night, we'd exchanged numbers. I texted her the next day, fully expecting to never hear back. But to my shock, she responded right away. We started hanging out regularly after that, grabbing coffee, watching movies, just enjoying each other's company. At first, things were purely platonic. I was honestly just thrilled to have made such a great new friend. But there was undeniable chemistry between us. One night about a month in, after a few too many drinks, we ended up kissing. It was amazing, but in the morning we both freaked out a bit about potentially ruining our friendship. We had a long talk and decided to keep things casual. Neither of us was looking for anything serious at the time. Emma had just gotten out of a long-term relationship a few months prior and wasn't ready to jump into another one. I was still dealing with some self-esteem issues from my lack of relationship experience. Friends with benefits seemed like the perfect solution. For the next several months, that's exactly what we were. We'd text almost daily, see each other a few times a week, and had incredible physical chemistry. Gradually, I started developing deeper feelings for Emma. She was everything I'd ever wanted in a partner: smart, funny, ambitious in her career as a graphic designer, and we just clicked on so many levels. I found myself looking forward to our time together more and more. I tried to ignore these growing feelings at first. I kept reminding myself that we had agreed to keep things casual. Plus, I was terrified of ruining what we had. Emma had become such an important part of my life, I couldn't bear the thought of losing her completely if she didn't feel the same way. About 4 months in, Emma casually mentioned she was still using dating apps and talking to other guys. It felt like a punch to the gut, but I knew we weren't exclusive, so I didn't say anything. She'd occasionally mention matches or guys she was chatting with. I pretended to be cool with it, but inside I was getting more and more jealous. I started to withdraw a bit, pulling back from our usual level of contact. Emma noticed and asked if everything was okay. I made up some excuse about being busy with work. In reality, I was trying to protect myself emotionally. I thought if I created some distance, maybe these feelings would fade. It didn't work. If anything, being away from Emma just made me realize how much I cared about her. I found myself constantly checking my phone, hoping for a text from her. When we did hang out, I cherished every moment. Around the 6-month mark, Emma started talking about this guy Mike, 29M, she matched with. She thought he was really cute and they had great conversations. They lived in different cities about 500 kilometers apart, but had been texting for a couple weeks. Emma mentioned she was thinking of taking a trip to visit him for a weekend. Hearing this, I felt like I was going to be sick. The thought of Emma with another guy was unbearable. I realized I couldn't keep pretending anymore. I was in love with Emma and I had to tell her, even if it meant risking our friendship. So I finally worked up the courage to tell her how I felt. I asked her to meet me at our favorite coffee shop, the place where we'd had our first real hangout. I was a nervous wreck the whole time, stumbling over my words as I tried to express my feelings. I told Emma I wanted us to be exclusive and officially start dating. To my immense relief, Emma's face lit up. She said she had been developing feelings for me too, but was afraid to say anything because of our initial agreement to keep things casual. We agreed to delete our dating apps and stop talking to other potential romantic interests. I specifically brought up Mike, saying I wasn't comfortable with her still talking to him or going to visit, given the context of how they met. Emma assured me she understood completely and would cut things off with Mike right away. I felt so happy and relieved. Finally, after years of feeling like I'd never find someone, I was in a real relationship with an amazing woman. For the next few days, I was on cloud 9. Emma and I were more affectionate than ever, constantly texting and calling each other. We went on our first official date as a couple, dinner at a fancy restaurant followed by a moonlit walk in the park. It was perfect. A few days later, I casually mentioned wanting to follow Emma on Instagram. When I went to her profile, I noticed she only followed 4 accounts. Curiosity got the best of me and I checked who they were. To my shock, Mike's account was one of them. My stomach dropped. I tried to rationalize it, maybe she just forgot to unfollow him. But something felt off. I decided to ask Emma about it, trying my best to stay calm and not jump to conclusions. When I brought it up, Emma got flustered. She admitted she was still talking to Mike and hadn't cut things off like she promised. Even worse, she said she still planned to go visit him for the weekend. She claimed they were just friends now and nothing would happen, but I was crushed. I told Emma this felt like a huge betrayal of trust. She got defensive and said I was being controlling and insecure. According to her, I should be fine with her having male friends and going on trips with them. She accused me of not trusting her. I tried to explain that this wasn't about her having male friends in general. It was about the specific context of her relationship with Mike. This wasn't some longtime platonic friend, it was a guy she matched with on a dating app literally weeks ago with romantic/sexual intentions. Now she expected me to be cool with her having sleepovers at his place? We went back and forth for hours. Emma insisted I was overreacting and that I needed to work on my jealousy issues. I felt like I was going crazy. Was I really being unreasonable here? I'm at a total loss. I thought Emma and I were finally on the same page about our relationship. Now I feel like everything we talked about meant nothing to her. I want to trust Emma, but her actions are making that really difficult. Part of me wonders if I'm just not cut out for relationships after all. Maybe my inexperience is making me too clingy or insecure. But another part of me feels like this is a major red flag I shouldn't ignore. I don't know what to do. Should I try to get past this and accept their friendship? Or is this a sign that Emma and I want different things? Any advice would be appreciated. I really care about Emma and don't want to lose her, but I also don't want to be a doormat. Update 1. Thanks everyone for the advice and support on my last post. A lot has happened since then, so I wanted to give an update. After reading the comments, I realized I needed to have a serious talk with Emma about boundaries and trust. I spent hours agonizing over what to say, writing and rewriting a script in my head. Finally, I asked her to come over so we could talk in person. When Emma arrived, she could tell something was wrong. I took a deep breath and laid it all out, how hurt I was by her continued contact with Mike and her plan to visit him. I explained that while I'm fine with her having male friends in general, this specific situation made me very uncomfortable given how they met and the context. Emma got really defensive at first. She accused me of being controlling and said I was trying to dictate who she could be friends with. We argued back and forth for a while, with her insisting Mike was just a friend and I had nothing to worry about. I tried to stay calm, but I could feel myself getting more and more frustrated. I brought up how she had initially agreed to cut contact with Mike when we became exclusive. Emma claimed she had intended to, but then felt bad about ghosting him. According to her, they had developed a real friendship and it didn't seem fair to cut him off completely. We went around in circles for what felt like hours. Emma kept insisting I was being irrational and needed to work on my trust issues. I felt like I was going crazy. Was I really being that unreasonable? Finally, in desperation, I asked Emma how she'd feel if the roles were reversed, if I was planning a weekend trip to stay with a woman I'd met on a dating app right before we became exclusive. That seemed to get through to her a bit. She got quiet for a moment, then admitted she probably wouldn't like that either. That opened up a more productive conversation. We talked about our different views on boundaries in relationships. I shared more about my past insecurities and how they were affecting my reaction to this situation. Emma opened up about her fear of losing her independence in relationships. In the end, Emma agreed that continuing to talk to Mike and planning to visit him was inappropriate now that we were in a committed relationship. She promised to cut off contact with him for real this time. I felt relieved and hopeful after our talk. Emma seemed to genuinely understand where I was coming from. She deleted Mike on social media and showed me that she had sent him a message explaining she couldn't stay in touch anymore. Things were good for about a week after that. Emma was extra affectionate and attentive. She'd send me cute messages throughout the day and made an effort to plan special dates for us. I started to think maybe we had worked through the issue and come out stronger for it. Then last Friday, Emma told me she was going out of town for the weekend to visit her sister. I didn't think much of it at the time. Emma and her sister were close, and they tried to get together every few months. But as the weekend went on, something felt off. Emma's texts were less frequent and shorter than usual. When we did talk on the phone, she seemed distracted. I tried to shake it off, telling myself I was being paranoid. Then on Saturday evening, I decided to surprise Emma with a video call. I thought it would be nice to see her face and maybe chat with her sister too. When Emma answered, I could immediately tell she wasn't at her sister's house. The background looked like a hotel room. She seemed flustered and made up an excuse about her sister's place being fumigated, so they got a hotel for the night. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach. I asked Emma to turn the camera around and show me the room. She refused and got angry, accusing me of not trusting her. We argued for a few minutes before I heard a male voice in the background ask, "Is everything okay?" My heart dropped. I recognized the voice from videos Emma had shown me before. It was Mike. She had lied about visiting her sister and secretly gone to see him anyway. I was absolutely gutted. Emma started crying and admitted everything. She swore nothing physical had happened yet, but she just needed to see Mike in person to get closure. She begged me to forgive her and said she'd come home right away. I was too shocked and hurt to even respond. I just hung up the call and sat there in stunned silence for a while. Then the anger started to set in. I sent Emma a text telling her not to bother coming back and that we were done. I blocked her number and on all social media. The past couple days have been really rough. I've been oscillating between crushing sadness and intense anger. I keep replaying everything in my head, wondering if there were signs I missed. Part of me wants to hear Emma's explanation, but I know I can't trust anything she says at this point. I know I made the right choice ending things, but it still hurts like hell. I really thought Emma was different. I let myself be more vulnerable with her than I ever had with anyone before. Now I feel like such a fool for trusting her. I'm trying to keep busy to distract myself. I've thrown myself into work and started going to the gym every day. But when I'm alone at night, it all comes crashing back. I can't help wondering, was any of it real? Did she ever really care about me at all? I know logically that this isn't my fault. Emma made her choices. But I can't help second-guessing everything. Maybe if I had been more understanding about her friendship with Mike, she wouldn't have felt the need to lie. Or maybe I should have trusted my gut earlier when things felt off. I'm not sure where to go from here. The thought of trying to date again someday feels overwhelming. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to fully trust someone again after this. For now, I'm just trying to take it one day at a time. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and unfortunately things have only gotten messier. I thought blocking Emma and cutting contact would be the end of it, but I was wrong. For the first couple weeks after the breakup, I was a mess. I could barely eat or sleep. I was going through the motions at work, but my mind was constantly replaying everything that had happened with Emma. I kept wondering if I had overreacted or if there was some explanation that would make it all okay. My friends were great during this time. They took turns checking in on me, bringing me food, and trying to distract me. Steve, the friend who had originally introduced me to Emma, felt especially guilty. He kept apologizing for ever bringing her into my life. I assured him it wasn't his fault, but I could tell he still felt bad. About 2 weeks post-breakup, I started getting messages from an unknown number. At first I ignored them, assuming it was Emma trying to contact me from a new number. But curiosity got the best of me and I finally read them. It turned out to be Mike. He said he felt guilty and wanted to come clean about some things. According to Mike, he and Emma had been in contact the entire time, even after she supposedly cut things off. They'd been sexting and video chatting behind my back for weeks. He sent me screenshots as proof. What's worse, Mike said Emma had actually visited him twice before the weekend I caught her. She'd lied about work trips to sneak away and see him. They had slept together both times. I was completely blindsided. I knew Emma had betrayed my trust, but I had no idea the extent of her deception. It made me question everything about our relationship. Were there other lies I didn't know about? Had anything between us been real? I didn't know whether to believe Mike at first. Part of me wondered if he was just trying to cause drama. But the screenshots he sent seemed genuine. And the dates of Emma's supposed work trips lined up with times she had been distant and hard to reach. After agonizing over it for a day, I decided I needed to hear Emma's side of the story. I unblocked her number and called her. She sounded surprised but happy to hear from me. I cut right to the chase and asked her about what Mike had told me. There was a long pause, and then Emma broke down crying. She admitted it was all true. She said she had developed real feelings for Mike but was confused because she cared about me too. She claimed she never meant to hurt me and had planned to end things with Mike after that last visit. I listened in stunned silence as Emma poured out a litany of excuses and apologies. She said she had been scared of how serious things were getting between us. She said Mike made her feel exciting and desirable in a way I didn't. She swore she had realized she truly loved me and would do anything to fix things. I felt like I was in a daze as Emma talked. Part of me wanted so badly to believe her, to think there was some way we could move past this. But a larger part knew that the trust between us was irreparably broken. I told Emma that ship had sailed and to never contact me again. I blocked her number once more and thought that would finally be the end of it. I spent the next few days in a fog, trying to process everything I had learned. But a few days later, Emma showed up at my apartment unannounced. She was hysterical, saying she couldn't live without me and would do anything to fix things. I told her to leave, but she refused. Emma camped out in the hallway outside my door for hours, alternating between crying and yelling. My neighbors started complaining about the noise. I finally had to call the police to have her removed. Watching her be escorted away in tears was one of the hardest things I've ever done. The next day, I started getting bombarded with calls and messages from Emma's friends and family. Apparently she had told them all kinds of lies, that I had cheated on her, that I was abusive, that I had stolen money from her. They were harassing me non-stop, calling me every name in the book and threatening to make me pay for hurting Emma. I was shocked and hurt by these accusations. I had always gotten along well with Emma's loved ones. Now they were treating me like some kind of monster. I tried to explain my side of things, but no one wanted to hear it. They were convinced I was the villain in this story. I've had to block dozens of numbers and lock down all my social media. Some of Emma's more zealous friends even showed up at my workplace, causing a scene in the lobby. My boss was understanding, but I could tell he was concerned about how this drama might affect the company. I'm seriously considering moving to get away from all this chaos. The thought of starting over somewhere new is both terrifying and appealing. I never imagined Emma would stoop so low or cause such havoc in my life. I'm angry, hurt, and frankly a little scared of what Emma might do next. I've started documenting everything, saving threatening messages, recording incidents of harassment. I'm looking into getting a restraining order, both against Emma and some of her more aggressive friends. This whole situation has become such a nightmare. I keep asking myself how I got here. Just a few months ago, I thought I had finally found real love and happiness with Emma. Now my life feels like it's falling apart. I'm trying to stay strong, but some days it's hard to even get out of bed. The betrayal and lies from Emma were bad enough, but now having my character assassinated to everyone we know is almost unbearable. I feel so alone and misunderstood. My own friends and family have been supportive, but I can tell they're getting tired of hearing about all this drama. I don't blame them, I'm tired of living it. I just want it all to be over so I can move on with my life. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time. I'm focusing on work, trying to maintain some sense of normalcy. I've started seeing a therapist to help process everything that's happened. It's helping, but I know I have a long road ahead. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know I can't let this experience define me. Someday, I hope I'll be able to trust and love again. But for now, I'm just trying to weather this storm and come out stronger on the other side. Update 3, it's been about 3 months since everything went down with Emma, and I'm finally starting to feel like my life is getting back to normal. The road hasn't been easy, but I'm making progress day by day. After Emma's stalking behavior and the harassment from her friends and family, I did end up getting a restraining order against her. It was a difficult decision, but ultimately necessary for my peace of mind. The process was stressful, having to recount all the painful details in court, but worth it in the end. The restraining order seemed to finally get through to Emma that it was over for good. The harassment from her circle died down as well, though I still get the occasional nasty message from a mutual acquaintance. I also ended up moving to a new apartment across town, just to have a fresh start away from all the memories and drama. It was a hassle, but ultimately worth it. My new place is smaller, but it feels like a sanctuary. I've been enjoying decorating it and making it my own. I've been in therapy to work through everything that happened. It's been really helpful in processing my emotions and rebuilding my self-esteem. I'm learning to trust my instincts more and set healthier boundaries. I'm not ready to date again yet, but I'm getting to a better place. Work has been a good distraction throughout all of this. I threw myself into a big project, which paid off with a promotion last month. My boss pulled me aside to say he was impressed with how I handled myself professionally despite all the personal turmoil. It felt good to have that recognition. One positive thing that came out of all this, I've reconnected with some old friends I had drifted away from while I was with Emma. They've been incredibly supportive through everything. We've been having weekly game nights, which has been a great way to stay social and have some much needed laughs. I ran into Mike at a coffee shop last week, which was awkward but surprisingly civil. He apologized again for his role in everything and said he felt terrible about the whole situation. Apparently Emma had been lying to him too about the nature of our relationship. We're certainly not friends, but the encounter gave me some closure. I still have moments where the anger and hurt creep back in. I'll see something that reminds me of Emma, or have a dream about her, and it all comes rushing back. But those moments are getting less frequent and less intense. I'm learning to let go and focus on the future rather than dwelling on the past. I'm cautiously optimistic about what's ahead. For now, I'm focusing on myself, my career, and rebuilding the parts of my life I had neglected. I'm rediscovering old hobbies and trying new things. Last weekend I went skydiving, something I never would have had the courage to do before. It was terrifying and exhilarating, and it made me feel alive in a way I haven't in months. This experience has changed me, there's no doubt about that. But I'm determined not to let it harden me. I know there are good people out there, and I refuse to let one bad experience ruin my faith in humanity. Hopefully someday I'll be ready to trust and open up to someone again. But I'm in no rush, I'm learning to be happy on my own first. For anyone going through something similar, hang in there. It does get better. Take care of yourself, surround yourself with supportive people, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. You're stronger than you know.